Carey.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. All right, so everyone watching this video, this is my wonderful friend Carey Wilkinson Lee, who is coming to the end of a fairly long, grueling process of writing a book called How to Get Out of an Abusive Relationship with Yourself, or are we dropping the how to? We're not sure yet.
Yeah, get out,
Get out of an abusive
get out of an
relationship with yourself. So,
that's the latest.
yes, and of course, you still haven't sent it off to be printed, so you have time to change it a couple more times. So the
That's
reason why
right.
I'm interviewing Carey today in this video for all of you to see is she has a story to share with us today about why she felt compelled to write a book, how she finally got over those hurdles of putting everything else above writing this book, and then just this phase of putting this first as a priority in her life. I wanted her to share what she's had to do differently, what's worked well for her, some of the main struggles that she's had, and then just a way to kind of celebrate the fact that we're coming to the end. So maybe start with why did you write this? Why are you just about finished writing this book?
Well, get out of an abusive relationship with yourself is why I started to write the book, is because I was having that relationship with myself for a lot of my adult life, and definitely becoming a parent made it even worse because you can really focus on all the things that don't go right in your day.
Yeah.
And I've I've dabbled in all sorts of things to try and have that not be um, something that controls my life anymore. So from natural Reikis to chakra clearings to traditional medications to therapy. And it's work. I'm 48 years old and I've been working on it pretty hard. It's still a bit of a struggle and learned a lot along the way. But the people that I've talked to, especially some fantastic women in my life, had said, you should share this because I think, the way that you explain it and the things you've gone through and all the different things you've tried, and then it actually works. And there's simple, easy things you can do 3 or 4 times a day, little Jedi mind tricks. So
Yeah.
it was talking to other people and sharing my story with them and what has worked that inspired me to do it, because the idea of doing it was completely overwhelming for me at first.
So when you committed to writing the book, I believe correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe one of the big steps in committing was when we did a Facebook Live and you told the world
Mm-hmm.
that you were writing a book. I feel like that's when maybe the anxiety level increased a little bit and you had to kind of use your Jedi mind tricks. You had to start analyzing maybe what you're going to keep and what you're going to remove from your life, at least temporarily. Like, what did that phase look like of getting going?
Yeah, I think it was huge coming public, telling my family, telling people that I was going to do it. I mean, you can always, um, making that commitment, and to people close to me, like to you as well, and having the help, like you saying, I'll be there with you. I can help you along the way, because you start to realize, or I did, maybe why I wasn't doing it, what I was lacking that I could use help with. So knowing that I had that research, that resource, and then also trying to um, take the time to find all the things that I've written about. It was just so much information, so that was overwhelming. So just to not panic about that and just start writing, starting, I think, was the hardest. And then collaborating all the information I've had over the years of um, therapy and taking notes and writing, and so I've dabbled in writing for a long time. So I have notebooks and computer things and emails that I've written to myself. So
Yeah, and one thing that I want to mention that I think is important for writing a book, it was huge for me as well, and for a couple other of our mutual friends that are writing books, is starting that blog, like starting to put your writing out to the world and getting their feedback on it and having them say like, this was an amazing blog post, but there was some meat missing here. I needed more information, or, there's this thing that you do with your writing all the time that's okay when you talk, but it's not okay when you write, or like whatever that feedback is that's so helpful. And it's a great way to just, it's hard, I think, to put your personal stories out on the internet. But would you say that was part of that accountability piece too, was like starting your blog? And
Well, it started the writing process. I would probably say it would seem easier to write a blog post than a chapter, but in hindsight and starting a second book, I think I would probably write a chapter first and
did
then
you just
take the
say you're
blog post.
starting a second book?
Well, from the first book, it's kind of through everything, all the therapies that I've gone through to get out of this abusive relationship, I've realized how my brain works. And it was kind of an undiagnosed form of ADHD, which is attention deficit, but it's a superpower to me. And I've met family that is similar that I hadn't really known before. And then all the women, since I've been sharing the story, all the women that I've met, it seems a lot of women born in the 70s, a lot of women my age are similar to me. And so to write a book about the undiagnosed superpower and the learning how to make it a superpower and not just a running brain that doesn't seem to accomplish anything.
Yeah. Awesome. So what has been the hardest thing so far in your writing process? And how did you overcome it?
I think that what I said, just collaborating it all and then starting.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you answered that question, by the way. I asked you like how you kind of made space in your life for writing. Like, did you have to say no to certain things? Did you have to completely remove certain things from your life? Like, were there things that weren't certain?
Yeah, I think you'd have to say, especially when there's a timeline. I think having a deadline was really key, and then committing to that, committing time in my calendar, a different color, a nice purple that said I'm writing. And like you had said to me, and that rang in my head many times, you covet this time like you're feeding a newborn baby. And I know how significant that is and important. So I started to do that and just make it a priority and just have that mindset. Like I'm writing a book and I'm going to finish this, because it is when you start to think about the task and putting it all into one place and having a finished product, you really have to stay in the moment and stay in the day, which is one of the things in my book that's helped me get over my abusive relationship, is making an effort to be in this exact moment that you are all the time, which isn't easy. But so yeah, not overthinking it and just doing and believing in yourself, and then when you are stumbling, reach out, know that there's someone that you can reach out to talk to and say help.
Yeah. And one thing that you and I both did with our books that I think is really huge that more people should do when they're trying to write a book is that collaboration. So the interviews, like how many people did you interview for those different chapters of your book? 6, 7? Yeah. And like, what did that look like? Like,
well, I mean, that's what I love. I just having conversations with people and getting down deep into the good stuff, right? Like what life's about and what makes them tick, but also what struggles they go through. And so that 2 of those interviews actually have now bumped over to the next book, because they were each like 6 pages long. That was but the difficult part was I would have a conversation for an hour with someone, and then it would end up, then you have to, transcribe
you
it. So
recorded it on your phone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So figuring out technology too right now, and figuring out what is the best way for me to record information. Because as I was talking to them, I tried typing one time and writing at the same time, and it didn't work. So replaying it over. So I'm learning about technology and stuff right now, figuring that out, because it did take me, I would say, a good 3 hours at least for every half an hour I would talk to somebody just to pull things in and then add things from the book. But yeah, it was just having other people's stories really made me realize how similar we can be when we share our stories with each other.
And I happen to have this handy.
You do, yeah.
This is exciting because So we had a meeting together before all this stuff happened, and your birthday was coming up, so it was like, let's do the writing retreat. So Carey and I went away for, you were gone for a full week, and I was there for, I guess, four days, and it was like the final push writing retreat. So by then you had and it was also your birthday weekend, and by then you had all your interviews done, and it was a matter of, I think you had to still type up one of your interviews, like from the audio, and then you had to like lay the chapters all over the carpet of this condo and like start moving them around. And like, so like, tell people about that writing retreat that you took yourself on. Like, how did that go?
Well, that was, I mean, I think if you're going to write a book, you got to go on a writing retreat because that's just fun. And so it was just a timeshare in Fairmont. Decided to go on a week so I could be by myself, and then spread all the stuff, all your thoughts out, and spread it out, and then not have to clean it up. You know, if you do have other people that live in your house and a dog, which I have, so you can't just, I just don't have a spot where I can just leave the stuff for days and nights to
Yeah.
organize it. And then just started to laid it all out all over and started to go through it. And there was a nice wood burning fireplace there, so I could burn the paper when I knew I was finished with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it helped to get, because of writing the blog and different chapters, and to organize the book a little bit better.
Yeah, and you took a printer and you printed off all the blog posts, anything in Google Docs that hadn't been printed yet, and you like categorized them under the different chapter headings, or maybe like some of them were kind of like, oh, it could go here, it could go here,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. Was that a fun process, or was it stressful, or like, did you like it? Would you do anything differently?
Well, I think it was fun because it was a creative process, and I knew it was necessary because I was now at a place where I could have easily got overwhelmed and stopped.
Yeah.
So finding the solution to the problem, which is, what the book is about, is not focusing on our problems, focusing on the solutions. And I believe there is a solution to every problem, but what is it? And it may not be, figuring out what the problem is necessary. So I figured out what my problem was, is that I felt disorganized and that I had so much information, so many pages. So yeah, I needed a printer and I needed to print it all out, and I needed to lay it. So it was a necessary step in my brain to move forward with the book, to get it to a finished, easy to read, fun, organized piece of literature.
Yeah. And while we were in Vermeer, that was when this whole COVID thing hit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of interesting timing, because had you had your condo booked for maybe like a week or two later,
Yeah, that's true.
you might not have been able to go. So the universe wants you to write this book. So that's exciting. So yeah, so we built out this, and so like you were saying, deadlines are huge. Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
I work this way too. Like if I know I have to have something done by a certain day, then it's like on my mind. So things like Fairmont Writing Retreat, send the manuscript to the editors, and you've got 6 editors, right? A lot of are any of the editors people that you've interviewed?
No.
And then scheduling the one-on-ones to review the book with the editors so that you can get their words, not just their notes. And then final manuscript to our final editors, I guess. And then the next step is going to be for me to start formatting the book and getting it ready to go on Amazon. So we're getting really close to that.
Which is super cool that you've done that already once, that you can do that. That's just an easier, there is always someone to help, but if you're doing it in a budget, then there are resources. And so that's fantastic that you've done it before and that process. And so.
Yeah. And I mean, that was the biggest stress for me when I wrote my first book. It wasn't the writing. It wasn't like, how are people going to perceive my brain on paper? It was like, how am I going to do all this? Like, so I went on Upwork and hired people to do, cover design and layout design and formatting it to get to the printer. And I printed my first book with a local printer, which I would never do again. But that's why we're going the Amazon route, so that we can print on demand. But yeah, like that was a big part of the stress. So like, I'm happy.
And that's the opposite for me. Mine is getting my voice down. And, like I wouldn't have thought of those kind of admin things necessarily. Like it probably would have stopped me at first, but I know that there's people that do that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's like with anything, entrepreneurial, you got to have a team. You got to have people to
Hmm.
help you, and you've got to know when you're beating your head against the wall and you need to ask for help. And so I think it's been rewarding for me to be able to help you get your brain on paper and
Hmm.
bring this all these all there's like, I mean, it's one story in a sense, but it's also a bunch of different stories because you've got stories of some of these people that you interviewed mixed in there too. So a lot of different perspectives, a lot of actual strategies and solutions, things that you can take into your daily practices and stop that abusive relationship pattern with yourself. So I'm excited for the book to go live. So anyone watching who's interested in getting their hands on this awesome book can go to carrywilkinsonlee.com, and you can get the book on pre-sale until it actually comes out. And I strongly encourage you to do that because the COVID thing will be over soon. And then we're going to have book launch parties, right? So that'll be
Yeah.
fun. And
Another point.
one in Calgary. Go ahead.
Yeah. One in, yeah, probably Cochrane and Edmonton, I think.
Or sorry, Cochrane and Edmonton. Yeah.
Would be fun to have, yeah, a little party. But another thing I was gonna say with the Amazon, which I found really interesting, because I'm with me getting it down, and you want to have this perfect product to present to the world. But with Amazon, what we've learned is that you can upload it, and then one of my editors is going to take the actual printed book and read through it and make changes, and then you can upload that revised version for no extra cost, which is super neat. So if you are feeling a bit control freakish and you want to have very process, if that would stop anyone from writing a book,
Yeah.
then I would alleviate, I think it would alleviate some pressure for some people.
Yeah. One of the beauties of self-publishing is exactly what you just said. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else. I think anyone watching this who feels like writing a book is just this huge undertaking that they can't do. I mean, I think you've been proven wrong. Find a team, get at it. Now, I mean, now is a great time to be writing a book, right? Like
Hmm.
a lot of us have the time and the headspace to really think about what matters in life, and depending on your topic for your book, I mean, yeah, it's just it's a very interesting time we're in right now. A good time probably to put some thoughts down on paper nonetheless for a future book. But yeah, but anyways, thank you, Carey, for, inviting me on this journey with you. And I'm really excited to get my hands on the book and start putting it into the final format and getting it out to the world. So yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
High
Thank you.
five.
High
Yeah.
five. All right. We'll end it here. Bye, everybody.
Have a good Wednesday.